Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rainbow Connections, a show where we interview creators in the TTRPG space about their creations and introduce you to some amazing projects. I am Serafina Smith for Streaming Rainbow. Today we have Amaan and Asis here to talk to us about Godkiller QISMAT, an ambitious media project currently in development. Amaan, Asis, welcome. It's great to have you here.
Great to be here.
We
All right. Before we get specific, we need to give a broad sort of introduction to the project. So, in your own words, what is God Killer Kismat and what makes it special?
I'll let Asis answer because Asis is the GM. Uh,
What? No, you're the
no,
GM. Stop lying. It's literally your
no.
baby.
Uh, so, Asis is, I'll talk about where Kismet began. Kismet began as it didn't begin as a God Killer story. It started as just a story that I wanted to tell, not necessarily for TTRPG. But the more I wrote about it, the more I thought that similar the similar journey that a person goes through, where they're trying to break out of, a certain hold or a certain viewpoint. There's a lot of parallels in all different parts of the world, and I decided, hey, I wanted to be set in multiple worlds, in multiple planets. Let's have multiple languages for it. And it had been on my mind for a lot of time that all the action plays that I see, it's all in English, which is great for accessibility. But it would be great if we could see people perform in maybe in their native tongue or another tongue that they know, and we could actually see people playing in different languages, with obviously with English subtitles as a way for everybody to know what's going on, and that's how Kismet began. God Killer came later. Yeah, and as far as uh, you know getting people together to play it, immediately my mind went to, you know let's have Asis, because I played with Asis. I had played Everybody is Steve game,
One
with
session with me.
just one session. I was like, I want her to be my god killer. I want her to come and kill gods. And yeah, with Steve, obviously my co-producer, the executive producer for this show from Pantsless Tables, uh, it was honestly a no-brainer for me because Steve is a good friend, as well as he's so entrenched in the AP community, especially with his own studio. It it almost like the stars aligned, I would say, for this. Yeah, that's how it began. Asis, what about you? What did you think when I first approached you for this? I'm sorry, I'm
Oh
taking over
God.
this podcast now.
No, it the thing is because I feel like by the time I came on, you had so much of it. Like you had a lot of the structure plan, not like I helped with the other God Killer stuff, right? I think I don't know. When you approached me, I was just like, oh, he's out of his mind. He's played one game with me. Why does he think I should be the one doing this? Um, but like I think I know you've been doing good stuff for a while. I and again, it's like if I trust Steve when he and Steve was like, yeah, I think you'd be good for this, and I'm like, yeah, sure, okay, fine, because I need my friends to talk me into things. But the thing is, I I'm a mythology nerd. I also really like telling like tragic ass stories. And I just like when you told me the basic stuff and just the world and everything, I was just sold immediately. Like I didn't really need selling at that point because I'm like, oh, this sounds amazing. And it's like at that point, like I hadn't watched God Killer, but I knew of the system. I like obviously I know of Transplanar and stuff. I was like, this is ambitious as hell, and this sounds like it'll be a very good experience.
And honestly, shout out to Transplaner, because I literally, if they if Connie and C hadn't done Last Hope, I don't know if I would have used Godkiller, because I wouldn't have known about it. The first time I saw Last Hope's trailer, I was like, I'm sold on this show. I had never played a duet game. I had played it
Yeah.
once, one game of duet game of D&D with my partner, and she was like, I'm never playing with you again. I'm like, oh shit, I fucked it up. Uh, and so I was like, okay, maybe it's not gonna happen. Then I saw God Killer. I watched the series as it was coming out, and I just fell in love with the game, how they were playing, what you can do with it. See, like how we go back and forth. Like, what do you think changes, or what do you think happens in this? Instead of saying, okay, you do this, you wrote this, and this happens.
Yeah,
But
I
like,
mean, it's a
yeah,
duet kind of, it's that kind of really direct collaboration, right? Like, you don't
yeah,
like, I might have played one or two duet games if I don't really remember, but it's not something that a lot of TTRPG people play, and it's not something there's a lot of APs on, right? I think Transplaner was really
yeah,
taking a big leap by doing a whole series with a system that Connie had made themselves. Like,
yeah. And yeah, you don't see duet in studio productions. I don't think I have seen it. I've seen it online, which God Killer Kismet is as well, because we spread all over the world. Literally, we are in so many countries. It is
I
truly a
think that
global production.
yeah, that's one of the things that like to your question of like what makes God Killer special. Like I think one of the things is, I mean, apart from the fact that it's very ambitious, it's not even just a duet format, right? Like, yes, we took this amazing thing that Connie and C had made and put out, and we've kind of broken it heavily into something very different, where all these other God Killers are playing a single session. Like we've had like 3 sessions of my God Killer. It's still a very different narrative, and then, yeah, just the idea of having multiple of these running in the same world, and then just the cast and the people. Like, I think one day we were trying to figure out, like, everyone's just in a different country. Like, so many people, like,
Yeah,
it's just, I think the two of us are the only ones actually, like, in the same country.
but at the same time, I mostly work night shifts. So technically, I work in US times. So
That's no,
uh,
no.
yeah, well, good time zone, good time zone.
Asis,
Yeah.
you play Kala, the central character of the main plot line of the show.
It's
What were
Kala.
some of your influences in the creation and portrayal?
So yeah, Asis. So Asis is. Oh, I'm just starting out. This is not me as a man taking over what Asis should be saying. It's not that. What I'm saying
I
is
don't know.
Asis.
I don't know. Cancel him. Cancel him now.
No, Asis plays Kala, whose name literally translates to art, as opposed to Kala, which is darkness,
Black.
black. So it's
Mhm.
Kala, which means art. So with that, Asis, with you being an artful self, tell us about it. Tell us about her.
Uh, God, I honestly I'm trying to remember because there was so much that went into making Kala. Like the name I was just being cheeky with. I love being cheeky with my names, but also I was like, okay, this is a relatively serious um it's a relatively serious production. I can't have my usual pun names that don't make a lot of sense within the word. But we have that I mean, okay, not everything starts with the letter K, but we have the god is Kamsa, the planet is Khilona, and Kismat, it still has that K sound. So I'm like, oh yeah, obviously Kala has like my character's name has to start with the K sound. Um Kala just made sense. I think there's many ways.
Didn't you
Um,
dream about that name?
Oh my God, I forgot about that. You're
Yeah.
right. I literally had a dream in which I just knew that the name is supposed to be Kala. And I messaged Aman the next day being like, listen, I have the name. It came to me in a dream, literally. Um, yeah, a lot of things have influenced Kala. God, I wish I had my notebook that I wrote like 3 pages of stuff about her in. Um, a lot of things influenced her. I think there's part of it that is kind of just my own like not quite quirks, definitely like a lot of my insecurities, with like, how people perceive me, what people feel about me. That kind of constant running tension that like, oh, does everybody secretly hate you? Except in Kala's case, it's a bit more literal because of just the setting and her position within this world. And so the type of god killer she is the trophy, like
Yeah.
like
Which is
literally just something to be admired, right? Which is again why color, why art, because
Something to be
uh,
admired.
if I can add to that, uh, Connie actually helped us a lot with some in development aspects of God Killer as they are currently working on the God Killer project. So they gave us some playtesting material to actually try it out with some, I should say, God Killer Origins. So
Mhm.
I think this is the first
yeah.
time the trophy is going to be on screen, at least in a play tested format. I don't know how it will be in the final format, or if it will be there or not. If it's not there, then it's even more special, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we, Asis and I, actually did a lot of world building together. Okay, where did they come from? Do they have an ex? What kind of love story did they have? And what about your parents? What about your brothers and
Oh, yeah,
sisters?
we had
It's
the whole
I didn't
document. Yeah.
Yeah, we had the whole document, and I was going through, I was asking metaphorical questions on the on the document itself. I don't know where the document is. Oh, I have the document right here actually. So
There's
eh,
uh
yeah. Sure. Can I share some questions that I asked about this?
Yes,
I
please.
think you
Uh,
should.
Yeah. So about the god itself, I think it can be. I can reveal it with the god Khamsa. How does she loves or loved Khamsa? Think about it. You don't need to tell me. Do you love her the way a moth loves a flame, or a lover scorned pines after a lost one, or the way a rock breaks away particle by stormy shore, ecstatic in their suffering, decreed by the sea? Do you love her because others love her? I mean, that's the question I asked her about. What's your relationship with your God? That's just one of them. And I fully went to try to go poetic with it as much as I could, uh, just to get some feeling of just to get a feeling of, okay, what does color think, and just to maybe guide the role play a bit.
Mhm.
And I think someone like Rara from Heart as a Dungeon does it really well in their games, I feel.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I've thought more about this character than I have about most of the characters I've ever played, like whether in APs or just home games.
Mhm.
There's like only one that comes close. Otherwise, like I thought so hard about Kala. And yeah, I think the way we built her family, like I ended up giving her a pet elephant and building that backstory, the way the X plays in to the story, to other things. It was very collaborative, and it really at some point it I did start to feel like, oh, okay, I've kind of influenced how this world is in like a very big way. Um,
Yeah.
because ultimately our story is revolving around Kala. You're seeing everything around her. It's
Yeah.
there's a lot going on. I have a lot of very specific notes on, like I have a section in this document called Asis and Kala Thoughts and Goals, which is just all about like how Kala relates to me specifically. I also want I really like that in God Killer, like in the at least in the quick start version that we had, to reference, apart from all the extra things that Connie gave us. There's very interesting suggestions for the gender of the character you're playing. Like one of the fields, apart from appearance and all of that, is gender. And the options are so interesting. And there's one option where they've just written haunted. And I'm like, oh. So in this document, I've described Kala's gender as haunted but also radiant.
Yeah, I think it also guides your performance a lot. It also guides the way Kala speaks, the way she does, the way she chooses to do some things that she does, and I think it's beautiful. And I can't wait for people to find out what an excellent performer you are.
I'm scared.
Is there trans allegory to be found in Kismet? Is there anything about being trans that you bring into your character performance?
I do. Like, I think I decided pretty early on that, okay, I don't think Kala is going to be explicitly trans, but I have to throw a trans allegory in there somewhere.
Mhm.
Um, that's usually what I do when I play characters. I don't necessarily talk about transness with the character, but I always throw in something or the other. And like it's only like it's one of the experiences that I bring into Kala, because again, there's a whole section I have in the document, because Kala is there's many parts of me that I brought in, that I like kind of just pulled out and threw into her, and then kind of just worked around a bit until they just fit. Um, the specific trans parts. So there's so as the trophy of a god in her world, Kala's loved by everyone, but not for being Kala, right? She's loved for being the trophy of this god, being the champion of this god.
Mhm.
Um, and that's where I play in the trans allegory, because I think it's the idea that, oh, someone loves you a lot, but only for what they see you as. They would refuse to love you for who you actually are.
Mhm.
So that is like the main part where I really play into this. And then there is some element of just generally like othering. And I think like I bring a little bit of the autism into this as well. Um, like I've been very sheltered my whole life. Like until I got out of like my undergrad, I was a very sheltered person in life. Just I had no independence. Even in the past few years, the independence levels go up and down. So that's also something I wanted to bring into Kala, that I thought really worked with the like within the constraints of her background and the world that we're in.
Let's talk for a second about Godkiller, the system. What is it about the system and or the setting that led you to think of using it for this particular storytelling? Like, what is the special thing there that was perfect for Gizmo?
There were a few things actually. One of the things is it pertains to my own skill is that I don't work well with large groups in terms of running games for large groups. I have done that IRL when I'm running game when I go into a cafe running games for newbies for roller die where you have like 6 or 7 people who are playing it for the first time, and I just like run an easy level 1 game. That's a different thing because it's low consequences. It's going to be silly. It's going to be there are going to be lots of loopholes, etc., whatever. But when it comes to actual plays or long campaigns, I have learned that if it's max to the maximum, I would prefer a group of 4 for whom I can run a game. The lesser the better, because then I can actually work with them to be able to tell a story. And for this was one of the first things why I chose God Killer. The second was that uh, God Killer was about killing gods, but also not about killing gods. And that hit home to me that my story is about killing gods, but it's also not about killing gods. It's about something else. There's a lot of allegory. There's a lot of similes, metaphors, whatever you say in English. Those things going on. People can read a lot into it. They can make their own interpretations into it. I have certainly made like many different interpretations for a certain thing that happens in a in our game. Like, is that is that a metaphor for something this, or is that for this, or is that for that? I mean, there's multiple ways where people can interpret it. So God Killer as a system allowed for that. It allowed for me to actually go into the hearts of gods, apart from god killers, because that responsibility for me lay on my players. uh, my responsibility, I felt, was to create a pantheon of gods and give them uh, you know not essentially, not really give them humanity, because I think that's a bit tropey now for me, but to, how should I say it, but to give them history, give them uh, make it feel like the world is lived in, make it feel like this is not the end of the world, which God Killer says that it's a holy punk game of after post-apocalyptic holy punk game. uh, our setting itself isn't post-apocalyptic. It's more like the apocalypse is coming soon. It's coming hard and fast, as they say. So uh, Asis, shush, shush. Uh, uh, so it's more in that term, and there's a lot of ways people can interpret the title itself. Mostly when it comes to a story, for me, the name of the story comes in my head first, and then the story comes about. And for me, it was always about, okay, this particular word kismat, which is actually spelled with a K, but I did spell it with a Q for SEO purposes, because that's just the kind of world we are living in. um,
Sure.
uh, I thought it was always spelled with a Q. Then I later found out that it was with a K, and I'm like, that's good. That's that's the marketing person in me, which just immediately switched on. I was like, shush, go back. Uh,
There is a difference with romanization that sometimes, like specifically Urdu
yeah,
words, they
yeah,
do like write with the Q in some romanization. So you're not
yeah.
wrong,
They do.
actually.
I'm not completely. Yeah, I'm not wrong, but I've seen it written mostly with a K. But yeah, the name came to me first, Kismat. I knew that what can I do with this? Why is this name coming to me over and over about a story that I want to write about myself? About it initially started about my own journey, about my own, the past Aman that I used to be, the part which is still in me, the part of me which has died, the part of me which was initially fated for something else, because Kismat means fate. Uh, the part of me which was fated for something, the part of me which chose to be something else. Uh, and yeah, that's how it started for me. And I felt like God Killer, especially with his move sets that Connie and C they have done with your mortal moves, your divine moves, and your crucible moves. I mean, the language itself, it it almost compelled me, like, Aman, use this system. This system is really, really cool. And I have a literature background. I have an English literature degree, so I was like, I might put it to some use. Let's put it to some use. Let's bring the literary part of me as well. And yeah, that's why God Killer spoke to me. And I don't know, maybe in the coming days I will have more to say about this,
Sure.
about why particularly God Killer, why particularly this setting, this system, about why these gods, why not choose something which is already there. Like, I don't have all the answers right now, because I keep finding the answers at a later date. I'm like, okay, I do the game, I do the writing. 1 week later, I'm sitting and thinking about it. I'm like, huh, oh, is that why I did that? And yeah, lot of introspection post whatever session
Mhm.
is done.
I feel like I can see some of those answers. Like I feel like when we play, like it becomes very clear to me why you picked this. I feel like, you're also a very narrative kind of TTRPG player. So am I. A lot of the moves that we use are that, okay, we read out a question and then you're telling one thing, I'm telling one thing. You like narrative and you like collaborative world building. Like it's so visible when we play. It I feel like it's
Yeah.
very clear why you chose the system.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the multilingual aspect for a minute. Do you think that using different languages in your production changes your story in significant ways?
Uh, yeah. I honestly, yeah. Short answer, TLDR, yes. Long answer, I asked Asis was, hey Asis, what languages do you speak? Because I didn't want to assume. Because I know a few people in India who only speak English or who only speak a certain language and they don't have like, let me check. I know she speaks English. Let me check if she speaks any other language. And she was like, yeah, I can speak Hindi. I was like, okay, let's do this. Okay. If you want, I was like, Assis, no. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I don't
Uh,
even speak like I'm not a I I have had a weird history with the language
yeah.
that like
Can we talk
a
about it?
traumatic history. Oh God. Yeah, yeah. I always had like some difficulty speaking Hindi because my native tongue is technically Punjabi, which I don't know how to speak. But like my parents always spoke to me in English. The main language I grew up speaking was English, but there was also Hindi like at home with some people. And so in school, I always had a lot of difficulty with Hindi, and I was also very good at English. And I got bullied a lot for that. There were people got to pick and choose that or what to bully me for throughout school. This was one of those. And I also have difficulty with certain syllables. Like Hindi has a lot of consonants which are essentially the same, but I am so bad at explaining this because it's hard for
No,
me to
no.
understand. But basically, like what sound comes out depends on where your tongue is placed in your mouth when you say that consonant. I the entire time in school when we used to have Hindi and we used to have like small spelling tests, and it was like I was just assuming that everyone memorized which version of the consonant went into which word because it wasn't until I was an adult that I realized that, oh, other people can differentiate between these two. That's why Hindi has two of them. Um, so it's been very freeing for me in a way to be able to do this in a language that I've honestly, like growing up, had almost a disdain for. Like,
Yeah, and for me, I mean, it for it to be multilingual was kind of a no-brainer. Initially, it was just going to be English and Hindi. Hindi or Urdu, particularly because I had never seen an actual play being, especially with the amount of actual plays, online actual plays, which were being, which were coming out from India, whether it was from Desis, whether it was from Pasta Staples, Infinite Tavern, mainly because I feel like within India itself, there's so much diversity in languages that you can't assume everyone speaks Hindi or everyone speaks Punjabi or Malayalam or Telugu, Marathi. Like there's so many languages, by the way, I can't even count it.
it's like
Uh,
70.
so yeah, So I didn't want to assume it. So I was like, okay, fair enough. I felt like DC Quest had a chance, not giving them any shade, but I feel like there was an opportunity there to do more. I was like, okay, if I feel like something like that should be there, let me try it. If I don't see anyone else trying it, let me give it a shot. And like I said, worlds, with the story becoming with English. What's the word? With the story formulating and solidifying into something which was more tangible in terms of, it can be now be it's a world that now can be played in. I felt like the story was also something that would have resonated in other parts of the world among other people as well. So I decided upon, okay, let me pick and choose a few languages, because I didn't want to just do like, okay, whoever speaks some other language, just contact me. I was like, okay, what are the languages that I feel like, okay, that either should be represented, or I feel like that would also be interesting and people would like to participate in that because they speak it. So that's why I chose Spanish, French, and Mandarin, because it felt global, or rather, it felt like, okay, now it's spread all over, from the far east to the far west, or vice versa, and the central being the French and the English, from the Europe and Spanish also. But we have a GM Thomas who is I, from Argentina, and they speak an entirely different kind of Spanish, where their Spanish is a bit different. But and Apollo, who grew up in Spain, he speaks a slightly different kind of Spanish. So it was, for them, I feel like it was interesting to do that. It would be like if I am playing in Urdu and somebody from Afghanistan is playing in Urdu. Uh, th- it would be there will have to be a lot of reconciliation, but I feel like it would also be fun. And yeah, the only hard rule for me was that, okay, I need Mandarin to be there, because I could have had Japanese as well, honestly, Japanese or Korean, but for some reason I gravitated more towards Mandarin, uh, because I with Japanese also I see a lot of, okay, there's a lot of fantastical stuff going on. Call of Cthulhu is huge in Japan as well, and more TTRPGs as well. But I don't see a lot of Mandarin or Cantonese actual plays or things coming out from there. Maybe there is. Maybe I'm just ignorant. But I felt like, okay, I want them in my game. So it's all about, okay, the more there is, the more interesting it is. And uh, yeah, and the one of the languages is English, because there will be an episode where we have multiple people who speak different languages. So the only way to reconcile it is to speak in English, honestly. Yeah. So yeah, 5 languages.
And you're doing the subtitles all yourself, right?
Yes. Uh, so I do have a lot of help from my GMs and players, because I'm generating the subtitles on the editing platform, and I'm telling them, hey, can you correct these subtitles for me? Is that what you said, or what is wrong? Because the translation, Google Translate and everything, they're not doing an amazing job. Obviously, I mean, you can't ask them to do an amazing job. They'll just give you a literal translation of what they think is being said.
Right.
So yeah, I have had to do so many grammatical checks. That's the thing that took the most time. That is taking the most time, is the subtitling, because unless it is subtitle, I cannot start editing it. Apart from Asis's and my is, because I understand the language, I cannot start editing it unless I know what the subtitles are. That's it.
Right.
So that's what's taking a bit of time. But you know what, if I can do it with me being a basic bitch in editing compared to so many other editors I know, then I feel like there's so much more that can be done. I had hoped that I would have been able to provide subtitles in other languages as well, but I'm like, no, Aman, do you want to be hospitalized, khuda na khasta? Do you want to be do you want to be sick? Are you a madman? Are you a sicko? I'm like, no. I talk to myself a lot like that. Yeah. So I just took a step back. Okay, let English be the only subtitle there, so that everybody understand what is going on. Because to quote the famous and the brilliant Bong Joon-ho, uh, he said, I think when he won the Oscar for Parasite,
Mhm.
that once you overcome like the 1 inch barrier of subtitles, you will be open to so many more amazing movies. And I'm like, yeah, that has resonated with me for a long, long time. For a long, long time. Yeah, for yeah, he said it 5 years ago, but it
Mhm.
resonated with me for a much more longer time. Yeah.
Yeah.
It resonated you starting in the past and then kept going once he said it.
Yeah.
So I would think that the way you're giving different episodes and their respective planets their own languages, as well as being a way to make subtitling more doable, might also make for unique moods as well, especially with different GMs. Is that something you're leaning into, or are you looking for a more uniform feel? I guess I'm trying to say there's going to be different
Yeah.
feelings to the different planets, but are you
Yeah.
trying for to emphasize that or to get around it, I guess?
Both in a way, because that's thanks to consultation with a few people, with C and everyone, that I came up with a thesis statement for Kismat. I wrote
Mhm.
like a 2 page thesis, like this is what the story is going to be about. Uh, and also, like, I wrote a document which was just for the gods, the GMs, to say that okay, this is how we're going to reconcile it. Even though your worlds is going to be different, there are going to be cultural aspects that you incorporate into your world, and I gave my GMs the freedom to make their world however they want. I just gave them some pointers, like, okay, for this god, just make sure these 3 4 things are true to that god, and these 3 4 things are true to the planet or to the world or how it is run. Rest, do whatever you want, make their history however you want, make the world however crazy you want it to be. I want it to be your thing. I want you to own that world. I want you to build your own world within certain parameters, but still giving you like enough freedom for that. And Arsene, uh, Adrian, who was supposed to be the GM for the Spanish episode, but he had to pull out for some family reasons and some work reasons as well. Life happens, and Thomas stepped in, and he's GMing the Spanish episode while introducing his own flavor to it, with Spectre, who created the world in which the Mandarin episode takes place. And I mean, my GMs have done a fantastic job of honestly like creating the world, and the players along with it, who added their own flavor to it. Okay, oh, can I? The players, I think, probably went, oh, can I do this? Can I add this? That would be cool. And they asked me, like, hey, can we do this? I'm like, please go crazy with it. Uh, just let me know so that I know how to adjust for it. I'm willing to adjust my whole universe for them to be able to tell their story best within certain parameters, but obviously, yeah, uh, just trying to give them as much freedom as they could. uh, and I have completely forgotten the question. uh,
I think you pretty much answered it. You were telling me that the way that you're encouraging them to
oh,
do their own thing, but
yeah.
also you've got a storyline to
Yeah. Yeah.
do.
Yeah, I do have a storyline to do, and Kala does travel to another world, where we see, I followed Spectre's lead with it. Uh, you know, or did I just spoil it? Yeah, I did a Tom Holland right there. But anyway, no, no, nobody heard that. Everybody ignore what I said.
Absolutely. Uh, Asis, You've done a lot of AP performance yourself with Desi's and Dragons, Horde of Tales, Pencil's Tables. Tell us a bit about what that's been like and what the experience of this project in particular has been like for you.
Oh, honestly, I feel like I have found a stride with APs that I wasn't sure I had until I started doing it.
Hmm.
When I like my first ever AP on Theses and Dragons, I had no idea what I was doing. And literally, when we were streaming the first episode, I had just moved into a new place. I had not installed my Wi-Fi yet. And because when we did our session zero and our testing, everything was going smoothly while I was on my like phone data. That's because we weren't live. Uh, my very first my very first episode, I keep jittering in and out, and I had to ultimately like cut off and leave, and then I went and cried for like an hour or two. It's up on YouTube, not the crying part, but the episode is up on YouTube. You can see I disappear, and I think there's been a lot of learning lessons in that way. Like you learn so much about like what works, what doesn't work. I I feel like I've also had learned a lot about myself, about, like what, like, I didn't realize how much improv mattered to me because I've not had a lot of theater experience and I've had no improv experience.
Mm.
And I've realized, oh wait, I really enjoy improv. In another life, I could have just been an improv. Like, God, if I'd grown up like in the US near where like one of the big improv cities, I feel like I would just probably have ended up there. Um, it also like there, I learned a lot about masking and putting on a face for camera, and I like over the years I've realized that okay, I don't necessarily have to mask to be able to play my character and put on a good performance. Like I can do this without then also needing to like take a nap for 5 hours afterwards because I completely overwhelmed and spent myself. And then I've just met so many people. I've met the most amazing people doing the most amazing things. Like I still feel like a lot of people I've met are way more talented than me. I don't know. I don't see it as much in myself compared to some of the people I've played with or even just had produced my games and all the things they do, like all the effort they put in. I mean, even just Aman and Steve, right? Aman and Steve work themselves way too hard, doing incredibly ambitious stuff constantly. And I'm just like I'm just in awe. I think most of my experience of being on APs has just been making a bunch of friends who I somehow manage to tell good stories and have a lot of laughs with. And then I just sit there being like, how the fuck is this person so amazing? Sorry, I do not know if I'm allowed to say fuck. And I said it again.
Audience.
The experience has been a lot about admiring people, but on in a more technical way, I think experiencing the difference in a game just played with friends and a game played for an audience. Like there are things you do differently, right? And it also differs in the type of game you're playing. Like an AP for Dungeons and Dragons is very different than a one-shot AP on a very rules light system, which is usually the kind of thing that I end up GMing if I'm ever GMing an AP. Um, God Killer is very, very different as a system, as an AP. It's also not the first, but technically the second pre-recorded AP I'm doing. Like for a while, I'd only done things live. There's one more AP I've pre-recorded over on House of Dreams that has had a lot of tech issues happen. So I don't know what's up with the release of that. We actually lost some of our episodes. Um, but that
I've
was
had that.
more. Yeah, it sucks. The tech issues suck. They always eat you up. But the one I done for House of Dreams was also an ambitious project, but a different tone. That was in Thirsty Sword Lesbian, so a very different system. Um, more people, more paced out recording. While with God Killer, I feel like we've been, I mean, and this is credit to Aman because Aman hounds me to make sure we can record every now and then. And I've had a weird 2025 where something or the other always comes up and stops us from being able to keep recording. I've had a family death happen. I broke my back at one point, kind of. It wasn't actually broken, but it sure felt like it. Aman manages to somehow like herd me up like a single cattle. I don't know what I'm saying, and keep me on track. Um, but even when we're not recording, I feel like there's like, even before we started recording, there was so much of going back and forth with Aman, planning this, figuring out the details for Kala, figuring out the world and how she interacts in it. We did a test run where we told that essentially an
Yeah,
entire alternate storyline
yeah.
that traumatized the hell out of me. In a
The
good way, in a good
non-canon,
way.
non-canon episode one.
Non-canon episode one is scary. Um,
Yeah,
and even between, like, once we had all of that figured out, once we started recordings, even between recordings, I think just having that constant sharing of, okay, this is the background art I'm working on for that one scene. This is what we're thinking of for your character art, which, by the way, the character art is gorgeous.
shout out to
Um,
Meghna
yeah, shout
Menon,
out to me.
also known as Soul Stuff Junkie on Instagram. She has done a brilliant job
And an
with that
amazing
stuff.
job. And so it's getting snippets of art from Aman, snippets of music, like just being like, okay, oh, I was editing this scene. This is really silly. Like I think that's also definitely kept me going in a way that it's just a very different experience. This one. This is so it's two people, it's pre-recorded, it's an incredibly serious tone. Um, like I can't count the number of ways in which this is a different experience. It's
Talking
Oh, thank
about
you.
all the talented people that you've got on the project, what sort of challenges did you face casting and crewing it?
Oh yeah, casting was something that took a while because one, I was at the same time I was looking for anyone and everyone who can do this project, but I also knew and I had a responsibility of vetting them. uh, do I know this person? Do my friends know this person? Um, sure, they might be well known in the community, but what does the community whom I vibe with, whom I hang with, what do they think of this person? Is there anything that I need to know? And all around, I have been glad to have been associated with I didn't have to worry about them at all. Like, oh, I cannot cast this person because some that's an iffy thing that happened. Uh, for me, everything that came up was a okay. Like I had been lucky in that uh, regards. Uh, there was if somebody would have been keen-eyed, they would have noticed, okay, there has been some cast changes, but that had nothing to do with betting or something. It was just like life happening to people, like I just said about Adrian. Initially for the French episode, uh, it was supposed to be done with Juicy Garland as the God Killer, but Juicy, they had some life thing happen, and I asked them like, hey, it's up to you if you want to continue or not, or if you want to take a break, if you want to recover, do everything. I'm fine with it. And like we decided like, okay, it was the best that they take their time off, they get better. In the meantime, we love Juicy. They've been amazing. And then Mary Paul came in thanks to a recommendation, uh, and from Gen One. And Mary Paul, she has done an amazing job as a God Killer for the French episode. The biggest problem was coordinating with time. The time zone coordination, that was a huge deal, because and that actually took the most amount of time. because everybody's in a different time zone. Somebody's in EST, somebody's in CST, somebody's in Central European time, somebody's on Universal time, somebody's in, somebody's even farther ahead than us. Uh, so yeah, that uh, scheduling, BBEG, the same
Yeah.
old, same old.
Well, tell me a bit about some of the other talent that you have working with you on camera
Yeah.
and behind the scenes.
So the first person that the first two people apart from Asis and Steve who came on to do in this show was a friend of mine called Feroz Ahmed, whom I actually went uh, to whom I did masters with. um, you know and we had done so many things together. We had made a short film, we had made a music video, we had done a conceptual TV show together in studio where both of us directed parts of it. And he's a musician now by trade, and I wanted to collaborate with him again. So I just told him like, hey, you're composing one of the original soundtrack for this. I'm like, it's nothing that you that I need your consent with. You're just going to do it. And he's like, yeah, sure. And they're like, yeah, sure. We had been wanting to collaborate over something for a while now. And so for Feroz Ahmed, you know, has done an amazing job with the music, which you actually hear in the first part of the trailer, and you hear it in the title screen um, in the opening titles of all the episodes. And secondly, Jolene Kaur, an award-winning composer. She did the main theme for High Rollers D&D and some other things as well. She is so good and so nice. All my love to Jolene, and she composed this amazing theme called In Memoriam live on stream for us, which I'm so honored to have that. And like I'm so honored to call her a friend. Uh, we already mentioned about Meghna, a phenomenal job as an artist. We're still receiving art as the at the time of the recording, because it's been a long project actually for her as well. Uh, who else? Adrian, I mentioned for world building. There have been uh, who else? Who else? Oh my god, I don't want to forget anyone. Uh,
I mean, we have a
there
lot of people who you brought on recently for like various
Yeah.
helping.
Oh, yeah. So people from who are part of the Pantsless Tables team, Ari, Agent P, Adi, and Magpie, they're helping us with some additional graphic design support. Otherwise, it would have been way too much for me. I would have been like, okay, I will have completely forgotten about certain graphics that I need to make. But they're also here to support us, which is amazing. And before all of that happened, when I was pitching God Killer, I had actually made a pitch deck. I think part of which you saw, Sarah. So I had like made like a I think like a 20-30 page pitch deck about what this world is, what the episodes are going to be, who are the players, who are the god killers, what are the gods, what are the themes, what are the arcs, what are the music inspirations, what are some of the mood boards. Like I'd made an entire theme out of it and a pitch deck out of it, and I shared it with a ton of friends. Uh, and they actually helped me a lot in guiding me to making the pitch deck itself sellable in a way, so that people are sold on the idea, like, oh, I want to see this come to life. um, uh, so glad that a lot of people found it to be awesome. We got support from Evil Hat even for this project, whom we are so grateful for. And uh,
Oh no, you
actually
have
wait
it. Ah,
wait,
jealous.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure, great. Yeah, okay, sure, both of you wear it.
No. So yeah, and there have been people who have funded this individually, so that we can actually make it like Anna Edwards, Velveteen Mango, Zeb, and Victor. So they have helped us monetarily, but also taking a look at my pitch deck and critiquing it and saying like, maybe change this to this. I can't make sense of this. What does this mean? So that prompted me to make sure like, oh, what does this actually mean? Let me clarify it for not just for me, for my players, for my gods. Uh, Erica Grant from Game Master Monday, Leona Maple, Leela Maple. She saw it. I wanted to see, just check, if the pitch deck is, if I'm not doing anything wrong with it, because I'm trying to incorporate so many cultures into this. I'm like, is there something that I should know? Is there a way to approach it that I might be forgetting, that I might be missing out on? So she helped me out. She guided me a bit for that. Uh, and generally, my gods and my god killers, they have done so much for me. Uh, it's just like I think I've named all. If I find any more names, I'll personally shout out to them. Oh, Irving Benitez, Jellyfish Lines. They did something for me which I hadn't thought of, which brought all the complete story together. And they just said it as a throwaway line, as a throwaway art. And Jellyfish Lines, he scribbled something on a paper and said like, "Oh, this looks so cool. Check out what I made." And I looked at it. I'm like, that brings the story together. That's what I've been missing in my story.
I didn't know about this.
Yeah,
I did
like
not know
special
about
thanks.
this at all.
Yeah, so he did something uh, which not only prompted how the story begins, but also how the story ends. So huge shout out to him for just doing. You can get inspiration from anywhere. Like it was literally from anywhere. Like I did not expect it to come and like give a piece of story to me that would flabbergast me. Like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. See,
Also, I
that's
feel
what
like we
happens
should
with
just
art.
shout out Steve like more.
Yeah.
Like he
Steve.
does so much. Just
Yeah.
Steve of Sassy Pants, runs Francis tables.
I,
He's been
yeah.
so on board with this. Like just
Yeah.
championing it
Just
everywhere.
just fanboying it over it, and I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
stop. Uh,
It's good to have
and he
cheerleaders.
always, I'm gonna have him cameo in some way or another in the show, because yeah, he always plays a silly little guy uh, with a name which starts with an S. So I'm gonna make sure that he's gonna be in the series, because he deserves it more than anyone.
All right, last question. Um, so, what is it that you're exploring with Kismat that means so much to you? Or to put it differently, what is the heart of God Killer Kismat?
Ooh, what is the heart of God Killer Kismat?
Mm-hmm.
That
In
is
as
such a
much
good
as you can
question.
say without spoiling, obviously.
Sure. I think the heart of God Killer Kismat is change. Because people always say like, change is the only thing constant, or whatever. There are so many sayings with change. Um, but if I can be cheesy for a moment,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's fate is to change. You cannot remain the same person all the time. If somebody remains the same person all the time, no, they have not. Maybe they have. Maybe they were
Change.
something and then change. Yeah, that's the trans allegory we were
Everybody's
looking for.
fate is to change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, uh, but yeah, even if you see some people, oh, this person or this thing was evil then and it is evil now, but even within it, it had to change. Even evil changes. It's never remains the same kind of evil, if that makes sense. And we see that in the real world all the time. Evil changes, but it never remains the same kind of evil. But it is still evil, but it still changes. So I think that for me is what the heart of Kismet is. It's change.
I don't know. I feel like change is true. I feel like for color and some like at least like for like our story and our episodes, love is also definitely a big
Yeah.
like it's change and then maybe love secondary for color storyline. Trauma, trauma. The heart of our
Yeah.
episodes is
Love.
trauma. Before every recording, Aman asks me how hurt I want to be.
Oh yeah, that's the question I always ask. Okay, on a scale from 1 to 10, how hurt do you want to be? And she says 5, and I say, "Oh, you said 15? Okay."
That's the heart of my God killer experience is trauma in the
Yeah,
best way.
in the best possible way. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. It's time to plug. So tell us where, when, and how to find your work, and anything else you'd like to share with us.
Thank you so much for first of all, the one who's watching. Thank you so much for listening to watching Rainbow Connections, streaming Rainbow. Sarah is an amazing host, and they should win an award for best podcast host. Speaking as a podcast husband myself, uh, I am taking cues from her. How to be a better podcast host. So there you go. Uh, you can find Godkiller Kismet streaming every other week from 3rd August. So we do it alternate Sundays from starting from 3rd August. Um, the time zone I know for India, I can't recall what it is for US, but I think it's somewhere around the afternoon, around 1 p.m. EST, I think. Uh, and around 10 or 11 p.m. Indian time zone. And it will be coming out on YouTube 3 days later as the VOD on my YouTube at Amaan HK. And you can check it out there if you missed the live stream. So you will have 2 whole weeks to catch up, and we'll be putting out, uh, you know, some shenanigans, some outtakes from the series, some clips from the series, just to entice you to, hey, you know what, just you can check it out. Check it out at Panthers Tables. Check it out at Aman HK. Yeah, and we're going to be all over Instagram, Blue Sky, and possibly YouTube, even though it's not a social media channel. So yeah, and I guess I'll post it on Twitter. I don't want to, but I feel like I might. I don't know. Uh, we'll see. That's where you can find us. Uh, you can you can go to the trailer right now and check out all the people who are part of the show. Their links are going to be included in the description. I'll be including a document which is going to list out who all the cast members are, their links, their works. So check them out. Check out Apollo. Check out Thomas. Check out Spectre. Jack, also known as Mr. Hypester on Twitch. Check out Ron's. Check out Mary Paul. Check out Arsen. Check out Steve from Bassett Stevens. Check out Asis. Let's be earning. Asis, this is me handing over the baton.
Oh, oh. Well, I thought you were gonna tell your social handle. Hi. Yeah, I'm at lesbianing like pretty much on all socials, that lesbian yearning. And yeah, I'm usually on Pants's tables on alternate Fridays unless something goes off, in which case then it's sometimes a Monday, doing Dark Waters and a bunch of other things. I try to do something on Pants's tables when I can. We have like there's another big project we're doing that I guess we're going to announce hopefully by the end of this month, or earlier. And yeah, I will be in other places as well. Oh, I can talk about the thing. Um, so I recently was part of an endeavor to record a proper studio recorded in-person AP in India. Um, as far as I know, it's not been done yet. So that has been recorded. It won't be out for a few months, but uh, yeah, I mean, just stay tuned on my socials. There will be more announcements about it eventually.
Hell yeah. That's
Exciting.
awesome.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both, and thanks everyone else for coming and for learning about this ambitious upcoming project with us. If QISMAT sounds like your kind of thing, well, you don't have long to wait. See you on August 3rd. And from all of us at Streaming Rainbow, be well and take care of each other. So bye now.